previously reported to the House on the developments at Magill in the old, well, it's still currently the Magill University, University of South Australia campus. The government has bought the land, and the land on the eastern side of St Bernard's Road has 3 years, 2.5 presumably, until the university has to extricate itself from it. Currently it's mainly been used for car parking. That's the side of the road that's in Morialta. On the western side of the road, when people are thinking of Magill Uni, the western side of the road is largely what they'll be thinking of. And that is in the electorate of Hartley. The government has given the university a 5-year lease on that with a 5-year option for extension there. The university presumably at some stage will be putting more meat on the bone of what their exit strategy is from there. We have good signs in relation to the childcare centre. I understand the Minister for Planning and the Minister for Education have both been out to the childcare centre. Usually that would be a sign that the government is planning on extending their lease there and hopefully giving them long-term security so that the community childcare centre can invest in its own future with confidence. Murray House is heritage listed and there's no going to be moving that. But ultimately we have concerns about the Oval, we have concerns about the old pool and gym and recreational facilities. We certainly want to know what the government's plans are in relation to what they would do where there are currently buildings, lecture theatres and car parks on the western side of the road. And the member for Hartley has assiduously been investigating this and urging the government at every turn to listen to the community on this. The setback from the creek line is tremendously important. Thousands of people walk along that creek every week, and there are not only walkers and other people pursuing their health and recreation opportunities, there's also immense biodiversity value around that creek line. So that's the western side of the road. We've got a couple more years there, but on the eastern side of the road, as the member for Morialta, I'm really concerned about what the government has planned for that eastern side of the road. 3 years, apparently, and the Renewal SA is going out to public consultation. We were told some time ago in the first half of this year. There's not much time left, sir, in the first half of this year. And local residents on a regular basis are asking me what the update is, and I can only tell them that yes, there are hundreds and hundreds more people every month signing our petition urging the government to listen to the community. But in terms of what the government's proactively doing, it's very hard to tell. We're still waiting on Renewal SA to go to public consultation. I thought it was going to happen in April. We're now halfway through May, and time is ticking. What I want from the government is a genuine community consultation, not one of these things we see from time to time where the government provides a special email address for people to write in with their thoughts, maybe have a drop-in session or two. We want some really rigorous community consultation where the members of the local community are encouraged to engage effectively with the government, and at the end point, some feedback from the government that their considerations are going to be taken into account. Because when we were going through the process of the university review committee of this parliament, we had 10 weeks of many, many witness interactions. Witnesses we heard from the Treasury Department, from Rick Pearce, the Under-Treasurer and Treasury, from the Renewal SA and from others, made it very clear that the government's expectation is that they are going to recoup the $65 million that they have spent to purchase the Magill Uni precinct. They said the valuation from that was based on a market valuation. That assumes that the eastern side of the road, the side that's in Morialta, which is currently zoned residential, will presumably be largely sold for residential purposes. Now, we do need housing, but I make the point that the Campbelltown area, and that includes that Magill area in particular, has been subject to some of the most significant urban infill in this city, in this state, over the last decade. The planning arrangements that John Rao, former planning minister, had in place between 2012 and 2019, when the member for Hartley and I and others were able to successfully lobby the former government to improve the planning arrangements in that area, they encourage dramatic infill, 150 square metre block sizes, minimal setbacks, not enough car parking, not enough infrastructure for the houses built there. And what we see at an area like the Magill Training Centre, the Woodford development, which was also a ministerial approval by former Planning Minister John Rao, is dramatic overdevelopment of a site that would have comfortably housed 200 dwellings, instead having 400 dwellings put on it. A 5-storey apartment building basically on the hills face zone. It's a really unusual approach and has significantly exacerbated traffic problems in the local area. That would be an utter disaster if that were then imposed on the Magill Uni site. I'm not saying that it necessarily will be. I'm just saying this is the Labor government's track record when it comes to urban infill in that surrounding area. And the Magill area, having been subject to that, the Magill area I'm talking about is right square bang in the middle of the dramatic traffic and infrastructure challenges between Mills Road and Magill Road, between Glen Stewart Road and St Bernard's Road. This area is already diminished in terms of open space and access to community amenity there. Still a lovely place to live, but if you were going to just transplant that land that's currently passive recreation, the old soccer pitches and the car parking for Magill Uni, you're just going to transplant that land with, Lego brick housing and places such as the 5-storey apartment building that's been built in Woodford, then that's going to be enormously difficult for local infrastructure to cope. It's going to present an increased reduction, increased lack of amenity, a decrease in amenity for people in the local area. So this has to be sensitively done. There are significant proposals put forward by the council, by the Burnside Hockey Club, by other people for improved sporting community recreation facilities. And there's certainly a demand for that. We're short of soccer pitches in the area. The Burnside Hockey Club has had funding to pursue their improvements, but no actual home to deliver them on for a long period of time. There's significant demand for sporting and recreational infrastructure and community infrastructure. But the department and the government's only advice to us so far is that they wish to recoup $65 million from the sale of the land somehow, and that they're going to go to public and community consultation. I'm hoping that the second part of that is going to be more persuasive on the government as to what they do with this land than just focusing on that $65 million figure. Because in a budget of 16, 18, 20, it's a growing budget in the years ahead, and we're talking about 10, 15, 20 years for some of these developments to be truly delivered one way or the other. This is a small amount of capital money which has an enormous impact on the local residents and the broader community in my area. So it's important the government pays it due mind. I spoke about the traffic challenges. Part of this area, on the edge of this area, is the new Morialta Secondary College. It's the old middle school from Norwood Morialta High School. Now, some people say, well, what difference does that make? It was previously a school, it's going to be a school again. I highlight that the Magill campus of Norwood International High School, what was previously the senior campus, has gone from 600 students to about 1,700 students. That's a dramatic transformation. The middle campus, which is now Morialta Secondary College, was about 700 students. It was then knocked down. We built the new school. It's currently 400 students. It'll be 1,200 students very soon. These two campuses have combined, gone from 1,300 students to what will ultimately be combined about 3,000 students. It highlights the infill in the area, highlights the confidence with which people are approaching their educational choices in the area. And we're not seeing reduced enrolments at local non-government schools. We are seeing larger numbers of students, but also a good proportion of them choosing public schools because they have confidence in these high-quality institutions. But what it presents is absolutely phenomenal traffic challenges and complications. Significant rat running through the back streets to the point where Burnside Council has listened to local residents and imposed a 40k zone on the southern side of Magill Road within Magill. Significant productivity delays and inconvenience to many people. That area, St Bernard's Road, was recommended by the former minister many years ago, put in a road management plan study, which had many recommendations that are still to be taken up. The challenges in that area surrounded by those 4 roads, St Bernard's, Mouls, Magill and Glen Stewart, are much higher now than they were 10 years ago when that study was done. So I again reiterate my calls, backed up by hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands now, of signatories on our petition to the Minister for Transport, urging a new road management plan to be undertaken in this area. Because when that school grows to 1,200 students, it's not going to be possible for the government to put it off any further. That's 4 years away, so now is the time to do this work. I commend the bill to the House.